This is stream public Twitter. And we are now all packed up. But there's a few people hanging around to leaflet and still talk to the public. And one of them was a Scientologist. I was wondering if you could give us a potted version of your story, like in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. My parents were Scientologists, brought me up in Scientology. When I was 9 years old, I figured out how to pull the e-meter. And I kind of started to stop being Scientologist at that point. When I was 14, I left home as my parents were sort of starting to lose control over me psychologically and were starting to physically abuse me. And I spent some time in a foster home and then spent about the next 10 years untucking my head trying to become a normal person after having the Scientology upbringing.
What hints can you give us then about beating the e-meter? Because we know at least one person in Anonymous who managed to buy their own e-meter, and we've seen them playing with it on YouTube, but there's a lot of claims about the way it does. How do you do it?
Okay, essentially it's a very, very simple biofeedback device, and if you think about something that's really horrible, you know, your palms start to sweat, and, you know, it's just kind of physical reaction, you know.
So it's basically about thinking about something other than what the guy on the other side of the meter is telling you to.
Yeah, pretty much, think about something nice, and for me it was completely, totally random idea of lizards and pyramids, and for some reason that all made me very relaxed. And
cool.
I quite randomly found that whenever I thought about that, I started to get what's called a floating needle, which means you're happy. So they'd ask me stuff, and I would think about my lizards and pyramids, and it was like, oh, that's all fine then. And because I was like 9 years old at the time, I was using this, because I was having sessions after school, I was using this to basically get out of sessions so I could have more free time.
Cool, well the more you know. Yeah, there was some amount of sign censorship today, so one of the signs I brought along, which I ended up not using, was...
Oh my God.
Because various people got shouted at, told off, whatever, with regards, signs with the cult word on. But there's going to be some progress on that. I'm going to head for home now.
There was a chap who was given a summons earlier in the day down at Queen Victoria Road. He had caught on the sign and refused to take it down. So basically he's been given a summons and will go to court about this issue. So that's going to be really interesting to see where that goes, considering that from what I read of the law, and I'm not a lawyer, but from what other people who are lawyers read of the law, it's actually quite legal what he did. So that'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I heard some rumours myself about that during the day, but I won't pass them on here in order to not prejudice the viewers. But the police didn't think the prosecution was likely to be very successful. And then there might be some test case implications if when it gets thrown out. Thank you very much for spending some time to talk to me on the internet. I'm going to nap off home now.
My pleasure, and thank you everyone who's come along to these protests and supported them.
Do you think it's making a big difference?
As an ex-Scientologist, it's huge, absolutely huge. It really means a lot to us, so thank you.
You are more than welcome. Glad to report they weren't coming for me.